Hey everyone, it is Tanya. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you are new here. Today I'm back with another speed build, and this is going to be a simple family home in a craftsman style. It's been a little while since I have built anything on the channel that was limited packs, so I decided to use a couple of packs here that I think most of you would probably own or consider purchasing if you enjoy family gameplay. So this is a house only using the base game, Growing Together, and Parenthood. And I would say those packs are actually some of my favorites as well, both for gameplay and build and buy. I use Parenthood a lot and I use Growing Together a lot. So you'll see both of those packs heavily used in this build with a little bit of base game. I primarily used pack content here, but you could definitely swap things out if you don't have one of those packs. But right now I'm just playing around with the roof line. I really wanted to make sure I could have an upstairs that had plenty of space in it, but I didn't want the house to be too big or too terribly expensive. It's not the cheapest. I didn't stick to a budget. You can see the total price in the description down below. I always have that information listed, as well as like the lot it is on, what I haven't named on the gallery, price, bedrooms, and some more information. So make sure you always check the description if you're looking to grab one of the builds. And if you do like this one and you'd like to grab it for yourself, you can find it under my EA ID, which is Gryphi, Gryphi. You can also find it under the hashtag Gryphi, and that's listed in the description. But I did really quickly want to let you know that right now The Sims is actually running sort of like a limited time discount with creator codes. From now until January 26th, if you use my code Gryphi when purchasing packs on the EA app, you'll receive a 5% discount. This is something new that The Sims is trying out, and I really hope they add it in permanently. It's a great way to support creators and get a discount. So thanks in advance if you use my code, and thanks to EA for sponsoring this portion of the video. Anyway, I am working on painting the outside of the house now. I used a green siding with this sort of orangey tone on the pitches of the roof, and I really liked that combo. I do end up changing the swatches of the columns and the stairs to be a white instead. I just thought it worked a little bit better, but I think that's after I decide on windows, which I used a combination of them from both Growing Together and Parenthood. I often forget Parenthood has a window, but I thought it was perfect for this house. You'll see that in a little bit, but I did want to talk a little bit about the family I imagined in this home. I was thinking it was a young couple who has a child and a infant, and the kids are sharing a room, so I have a like upper bunk and then the crib is underneath it. I thought it was a really cute idea. I don't think I've ever done that combination for a shared kids bedroom before, so that's what I ended up doing. And here you can see those windows I was placing. The one towards the front of the house on the bottom is the one from Parenthood, and then I am actually going to swap out the other one over on the left to also be a Parenthood window. I just didn't like how they didn't quite match there. And here I am adding a detached garage. I like to add these from time to time, and since this lot was wider than it is deep, it felt like it needed something on the side, so I decided to have a garage which has a bunch of different activities in it. It has space to add some more things if you have other packs. It'd probably be a good spot for laundry if you'd want it there, but I also have a room inside that could be a laundry room, which we will get to when we get inside. But the garage ends up having some like school projects, the woodworking table, some bikes, and I just really like adding spaces like that in family homes, a place to put all of those skill building items. It would also be a good spot to maybe put some workout equipment. At this point, I decided to add a side porch that leads you out to where the garage is and also into the backyard. There ends up being a pretty small backyard. I just end up having a couple of trees, a few planter boxes, and I believe a swing set out there. There's a swing set that came with the like early purchased version of Growing Together, so that's out there. So if you didn't get it during that period of time, that item won't be in this house, but everything else will be. It's just one of those weird items that they had as a incentive for people to buy things early. And I understand the concept behind them and I like the items, but it does suck that some people end up missing out on that because not everyone can buy a pack right when it comes out, or might want to wait for it to be on sale. So I just wanted to mention that. You'll see it a little bit later on. But right now I'm just adding some pathways, some fences, and sidewalks leading up to the house and connecting the driveway and the side yard, and then working on some landscaping. I end up using a lot of debug landscaping. That tends to be what I go for. But I used things that are in the surrounding world of Sequoia, which is the world we are building in right now. It comes with the Growing Together expansion pack. Parenthood doesn't have a world as it is a game pack and focuses more on gameplay. than like the world. I know some game packs have worlds, but that one does not. But I love Parenthood. I remember that being one of the packs I was the most excited about back in the day, and I still really enjoy it. I think the gameplay is fun, and the kitchen set is one of my favorite kitchens in the game. And so, of course, I had to use it in this build. You'll see that in a little while. And because of that, I end up having a very like orange toned interior, which worked out nicely because I used that orange wallpaper outside and the front door. And both of these packs have a lot of those same colors. So they work beautifully together. And of course, they're both family oriented packs. So I just think that they are kind of meant to go together in that way. And there's a few other packs that have very similar wood tones that would look nice as well. I believe Dream Home Decorator would probably look pretty good with this, as would Tiny Living. So those are some ideas if you are looking for packs that would work nicely. But right now I am just working on the flooring. I don't end up keeping this tile in the kitchen. I end up actually using the wood that I use throughout the rest of the house, which is a base game wood. And back when The Sims 4 first came out, this was like my favorite wood flooring. It's not anymore, but I don't mind it that much, and it's not one I use super often, especially not in this orange swatch. So it's kind of nice to do that. And yeah, when you first walk in, you are in the living room, which I will come back to, and I have a beautiful fireplace in there. There's a fireplace from both of the packs that I'm using in this build, but I decided to go with the Parenthood one just because I feel like there's less items from Parenthood. Well, I mean, I don't feel like there is. There definitely is, as it's a game pack, and I like how simple that one is. But this is the kitchen I had mentioned with these gorgeous countertops and the tiling. I'm using some curtains here from Growing Together, and this is where I got rid of the tile on the floor. It just didn't feel correct for some reason. I think it was too light of a color, and none of the other swatches were really what I was going for. And then I did get a extra cabinet piece over here, and then I'm actually going to be changing the chairs that are at that table. I used those chairs in the kitchen for this like small table that I put in the middle of the room, but the 4-seater table, I end up having a different table and chairs. I end up using the ones from Parenthood instead, and I will be way later on adding a high chair at the end of the table as well, because I wasn't sure exactly which kids I was going to have in this house yet, so I wasn't sure if I wanted a high chair, so that's not something I added at first. But right now, just adding some more of these curtains and swapping out that table. I do really like the Growing Together curtains. I don't know why, though. They have some really weird shadows that happen on them in certain spaces if there's items in front of them. Sometimes it's worse than others, and there's like a couple of items that I tried to place and then couldn't because of the shadowing, but I ended up figuring it out in the end and having those items not nearby. One of the things was like a grandfather clock I tried to add in this house. I moved it around a few different times, but it was really causing me a lot of trouble with the curtains. Anyway, this little nook over here is going to be an office space. You can see me grabbing some toys and like decorations to put up on the desk, some clutter. And then I rotate the whole desk because I felt like it just looked a little odd in that corner. It still is kind of a weird space, but I liked having this little nook, and I think it's realistic to have the family computer for this household. It's kind of important to have a computer for your Sims to use. So much of the gameplay is on the computer. So just wanted to include that. And then we are moving on into the living room. And as much as I love both of the sofas from Growing Together, I was like, you know what? I am heavily using Parenthood in this house, and it's been a long time since I've used the Parenthood sofa, and I used to overuse this so much. It was one of my favorite sofas in the game, so I thought it was only appropriate that I would use that here today. And I paired it with the coffee table and the rocking chair from Growing Together, and also the toy box. And this is that clock I was talking about. I move it around so many different times, and I kind of just like readjust the layout of some of these items, like which side the chair is going to be on, how I want to have the plants. And I figure it out in the end, but it does take a little while. I also end up moving the side table that I put by the front door over here instead to go under these like kids planners. And then this beautiful mirror is from Growing Together. I have been using it so much more recently. Some of the swatches are a little bit weird, but it has that beautiful orange color that I'm using throughout this entire space. So I thought it was a perfect like by the door mirror. It's a little bit fancy too. And I feel like this house isn't overly cluttered. I did want to keep it fairly simple, but also because I was only using certain packs, I didn't have as many items to choose from, which is also really nice and probably a little bit better for gameplay. I do playtest my builds, but sometimes things get overlooked or certain items don't work as well in other people's games, and that's unfortunately just how it works sometimes, where it might work fine in mine and then it doesn't in yours, whether that's something that didn't place properly on the gallery or just finicky nature of The Sims 4. I tried my best, but this one is a little bit more spaced out, so hopefully it won't have any issues. And then this is that little room that I said could be a laundry room. We don't have laundry in the base game or in either of those packs. It comes with the Laundry Day stuff pack, but I set up that room to be one that could easily be turned into a laundry room. It just has 2 counters in there and you could replace those with the washer and the dryer. And I thought it was a perfect spot for that. Anyway, we are back in the living room, just adding a couple more pieces of clutter and then moving upstairs where I am starting to work on the kids' room. It's very dinosaur themed. I actually really loved the colors in here, especially because I have never tried to, as I mentioned before, pair a kid's room with an infant, and this like tealish color that the changing table and the crib have was just really refreshing. And I also ended up using this wallpaper from Parenthood with the clouds on it, and there's just so many cute dinosaur things in the game. And also this little desk, I never use that item either. I feel like when you limit your packs to certain ones, you end up using items that you forget about or don't use very often because you don't have access to your go-tos. So this was like so fun. And I would totally be down to do some more limited pack builds. Let me know if there's specific ones you would like to see that you think would go together nicely. Like I thought that these 2 made the most sense together because they're both very family related packs. But if there are other ones you think would go well together, I would love to hear about that. I mean, the first one that comes to mind is like vampires and life and death, which has been on my to-do list for a while, but not really as a build. I guess it could be a build. But I was thinking of doing a renovation at some point of Vlad's mansion, and I was supposed to do that months ago. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. So eventually I will do that at some point. But are there any other packs you would like to see combined in a limited pack build? I would like to do some more on the channel from time to time because I know most of my builds are using like everything in the game, which I find really fun most of the time, but I think it's nice to switch it up every once in a while. Anyway, I talked over the upstairs bathroom, and we are now in the primary bedroom. I love this bed. I feel like I use it a lot. It still feels very new because it's from Growing Together, which was like, what, a year or so ago now? And it's just such a beautiful, simple bed. Some of the swatches have some really fun patterns as well, but I think this is one of my more used swatches. And of course I had to use it here again as it is that orange wood tone that I'm using. I paired it with these bedside tables from base game and just got some generic clutter on them, some tissues, baskets, a little plant, a clock, you know, basic bedside table stuff. But moving back downstairs to add the high chair, I also got one of these play mats for infants. It's not in the living room, it's actually in this open space right by the kitchen. But I feel like these couple of rooms are sort of like an open family space, and it just made more sense to put it where there was more room. And I feel like that would be good for gameplay. And now we are out in this garage that I had mentioned earlier. I end up having some built-in cabinetry here using the industrial set from base game, a couple of these really cute shelves from Growing Together, and of course the woodworking table, the base game one. There's a new one that came with the artist studio kit, but obviously I'm not using that here. Oh, I also got the like sort of Lego game table in the middle of the room from Parenthood. That is such a cute one that I almost never use. I have a couple of completed school projects as well as one your Sims can work on to improve their grades in school. And here is that swing set I had mentioned. So just going to get some plants and a little bit of terrain paint. And that will be it for this build. I really hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up. You can also subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more and click that bell to be notified when I upload. Also, a massive thank you to my YouTube members for all of your support. If you'd like to become a member yourself, you can click the link in the description or the join button below the video. Let me know which packs I should use next in my next limited pack build or any other things you would like to see on the channel. And enjoy those screenshots, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye!